Well, hello, friends and listeners. Welcome to Mentorship Matters, the podcast where we explore human connection and igniting the power and promise of youth within our community. I'm Dr. TLC, Tracy Carmichael. I have the honor of serving as Chief Operating Officer for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Orange County and the Inland Empire. I also have the honor of working with strong, steady educational partners, and I'm joined by one today, Norma Martinez, who is Superintendent of Centralia Elementary School District. Thank you so much for being here, Norma.
Thank you so much for the invitation. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, you have been, you and your district have been partners for over a decade now with us, and we're going to get into all the good work we've done into the district. But I always want to start, I talk a lot with our team about bringing our whole persons to our jobs, right? We're more than just the function of our jobs. So I want to learn a little bit about Norma.
Okay.
So where did you grow up? Tell me a little bit about your story.
Well, I was born in Mexico, so I am the classic immigrant child who came here. I always say I landed in Anaheim because it felt like such a foreign experience to me that it took some time to acclimate. So I have very, very vivid memories of what it was like to just not fit in. And at the time that I came into this country, there were not a lot of Spanish speakers. In my school, for example, I remember feeling very isolated, feeling very lonely. I know now that I was probably a selective mute as an elementary age child. And in high school, I really couldn't understand the school system. I wanted so desperately to be in these classes called honors classes, and I didn't know how you did that. So instead, I chose to spend my teenage years in the local library, just reading every book I could get my hands on, including my favorite was, this is pathetically sad, but very rewarding and fulfilling. Back then, the U.S. Census report would publish their stats.
You're a data
in
girl.
These big data books.
Yes.
In the reference section where it was extra quiet, there was actually a glass partition inside the library. And I used to love to go and look at the data in the books, and that is where I really learned about, as a nation, where we were in terms of college achievement, income levels, jobs, like all this stuff that I don't know that a 16 or 17-year-old was aware of, but I was aware of that. And just understanding inequities and really wanting to figure out how can I help to solve that issue, the issue of everybody moving forward and everybody advancing in this concept called the American dream. My dad he brought us here because he believed in it. And so for me, it was really like, how do I help others achieve the American dream?
Well, and data are our friends, right?
Data, to this day, data, absolutely.
No, thank you for sharing that. It's a fascinating entry point into where I want to take the conversation. So tell me, you've been an educator, a principal, an administrator, now superintendent for almost 11 years or over 11 years now. What drew you, besides the data itself, what drew you into that field? What inspired you to take this journey?
So I am a believer, like I said, in the American dream. And I think that in our country, education for most of us is the way through. And I know right now the trend is, do you really need college or not? I know that's out there. But there's still that idea that I remember somebody once saying, like, you can have money comes and goes, businesses come and go, but if you have an education, you always have it with you, right? That the effort, the title. And I really believe that if we can educate our communities, we can have safer communities, quieter communities. So like I said, I was an avid reader as a kid. And one time I read that the city of Irvine was one of the safest cities in America. This is what goes on in the mind of a young person. But I also learned that it had one of the highest education attainment levels. And I thought, wow, I want to be in an industry where we can improve a whole community. So why did I go into education? I love kids, but it's not because I love kids. I really believe that education can uplift a community, like the whole community. And so more than any other profession, I think that education can do that. If we can educate our students really well, then they will grow up and be really good parents and really contributing members, volunteers. They will do all the good things that a society needs to have a very elevated quality of life.
It's the foundation.
It's the
right?
foundation,
Right.
yeah.
And you started as a teacher in the classroom, correct?
Yes, my step into elementary or into schooling actually, to be real honest, my original ambition as a young person, I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I wanted to work for a civil rights group, and I thought I'm going to sue everybody, and that's going to fix the world,
That's
right?
That's right.
But I was working poor, and being a college student that needed to pay for college, I got a job as an instructional assistant, and I realized that I had an aptitude for it and I loved it. As an assistant, my job was to help the kids who were struggling the most. And there was something very fulfilling when a student would learn to read that was a non-reader. And I thought, wow, this is how we change the world. So I started as an assistant and then very traditional, went through all the stages of education. I've done all the grades and whatnot. I am elementary focused, and I think it's because when I started out, that was the part-time job I had.
Sure.
And so I went to school, and what credential, I didn't know there were differences in credentials. So I'm like, well, the job I have, that one,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, let's go with that.
So I'm with the little kids, and I absolutely love that we are what I call the foundation. And I always, I tease my colleagues who are in the senior world, the high school world, where I say, you're the skyscraper, but we're the foundation. Like without us, the skyscraper falls apart, right? We need to have really strong public schools. And in particular, we want to make sure that our kids have really strong foundations to prepare them for the future.
Yeah, and you've arguably been very successful and impactful within the community. I mean, you pride yourself, and we see it in your work in being a community leader,
Yes.
right, in addition to an educational system leader.
Yeah.
And, we talk a lot here at Big Brothers, Big Sisters about rarely are successful people getting there by themselves. So who was your mentor, or who had an influence on you throughout this trajectory of your career?
I think there's two elements to all of us who are successful in life. And the first one is the foundation of who we are, and that is our values, our work ethic, and all of that. And I really believe that comes from our family structure. I was blessed to have parents who I tease, like my dad was like, no nonsense, get it done. Like he was the kind of parent that if you fell, you could cry for a little bit, but then he's like, okay, get up, scrape yourself and get going, right?
Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. No excuses. My mom, just the same hardworking, but her whole value system revolves around loving people and being of service. So how do we help people? How do we help? That's really the grounding of my internal being. But externally, along my journey, I've been blessed, truly blessed to have the mentorship of so many individuals who have helped me, whether it was starting out as a teacher and having a kind teacher come knock at my door and be like, hey, come to my classroom so I can show you how my kids write, because my kids needed to improve their writing. And I was like, okay. And very early on, she's just showing me. But at every step of the way, I've had individuals. My first year as a principal was formative. I've been blessed to have a lot of helping hands along the way and a lot of encouragers.
Yeah, we see that a lot here, right? We talk about, because we recruit volunteers from the community. People are giving their time to us. They're not getting paid to be here. They're doing it from just the desire to help, right? But the hardest part quickly becomes the easiest part, and that's just showing up, right? So I love that superintendent showed up for you once a month and created this vision, because that's what we're in the business of, is creating that vision for students to see themselves in the future and what that could look like, right? Exposing them to different opportunities and building that social capital for them, because you don't get there by yourself, right? None of us do. None of us do. So you've really had a front row seat over the last 30 some years in education. So I can imagine from your observations, starting as a classroom teacher now to superintendent of an entire district, how have you seen the needs or challenges that students are facing from your first day in the classroom up until now? I mean, society's changed, we've evolved, things are rapid now. So like what's the difference, and where do we sit now?
Yeah, well, I will tell you that the first thing I notice is that the pace of change now is much faster than it was in the beginning. And so before, I would say in the beginning, even to change curriculum, to change instructional strategies and whatnot, it would take time to evolve. And I don't know what it is about now, probably technology related. The expectation from people is for instant results, instant change, instant this.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. We want it now. It's like the microwave, right? Now, and now the microwave isn't even fast enough, right? So I see that impacting education, and what it does for our educators is it does create what I'm going to call a mind frenzy, in which there's so much that we have to do. I think about like my teaching years when I started out, and I would take all my TMs home, my teacher manuals, and I would literally open my teacher manuals, right? And if I wanted to add to it, I had to drive to the library to check out books, to get more resources, to do that. I had to physically go somewhere and do something. But the expectation was everything was in a TM, in a teacher's manual. Now, when I sit in on my interview or the trainings for my teachers, I look at how we teach them, and I'm in awe of what we expect these adults to do. They get, oh, here's the training, the PowerPoint slide, and there's 4 hyperlinks to it. So if you want this, you go to this link. If you want that, you go to that link. If you want this, you go to this link. If you want that, you go to that link. So the idea of take your time, go to the library, sit down and research, that's gone. It's all at your fingertips, but there's maybe too much. And so it could create that idea of losing time where really you want to just look at stuff, right? So that's one aspect.
That reflection time, right?
Yes.
It can almost create like paralysis when there's too much
There's
information.
too much.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I think has really changed a lot is the human being, the child. Parenting styles have changed. There is a very marked difference pre-COVID versus post-COVID. An expectation from parents. I'm going to say, unfortunately, I do feel like the respect for educators has been
Shifted.
clipped a little bit, where people think, well, I can teach you, or that's an easy job. And it's like, no, it's very complex. One adult, 25 to 30 kids in a classroom, and you must command their attention and order at all times. That's changing, definitely. Along with that, I think there's also something that has happened with children, and that is their worldview has changed. And that is probably the most impactful thing for us. So I think about even when I raised my children, 9/11 happened, we had a TV. You know what I did? I turned off the TV. I did not want my young children exposed to that because I was trying to figure it out for myself. And it took me months to process that. And the entire time we kept the TV off. And I'm like, no TV. But now, everywhere you go, video screens,
Readily
they're everywhere.
accessible.
So whether parents say, oh, I don't allow my child to do that, well, on your cell phone, the messages pop up all the time. Adults talk about it. You have the social media. The kids are very aware of what is happening in the world, almost too aware. We do annual surveys of my students. This one's always very hard for me. I don't like that kids, and I serve 3 to 11-year-olds. I don't like that they're afraid of the world they live in. And we used to wonder, like, I feel safe at school is always a question we ask. I want that to be 100%. I feel safe at school. There have been years when that number is, in my mind, low. It's like in the high 80s or whatever. But we ask the kids why. I've had children write, I don't want to sit by the door because if there's a shooter, I'm going to be killed first. Ugh. Why do the little kids think like that, right? I'm worried that someone's going to come in and hurt us. With the ICE situations right now, I'm worried about my parents. We had one of our schools, they did a fundraiser, and we were talking with the nonprofit that we were working with. And she was like, oh, don't worry, most kids, they pick like an animal shelter or a homeless shelter because this is like their worldview. This was last year. My students selected a human rights coalition that's focused on immigrant rights.
Hey.
Why? Because
Yeah.
they're like, we need a system, we need to keep families intact. And that's what they decided to donate their money to.
And we're
I'm
talking
like,
about elementary students.
elementary students.
Elementary students.
Yes. 8-year-olds.
That was
9-year-olds.
college when I was in college.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
So I feel the kids are very aware of adult issues.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, their weight is heavy.
Yeah.
Heavier than it was before all of this technology.
Yeah.
I see it in my students.
Yeah. And Norma, I got to say, following your journey and what I know you're doing in your district, you had a choice, right? Like the fear is very real.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it here in strategy meetings here at the organization that we're in a loneliness epidemic. So we have all this information readily accessible. It's fear.
Yeah.
It's fear-based.
Yeah.
We have AI at our fingertips. So is this how do we capture and use AI in a productive, positive way? And I know that's something that you decided to take head on.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit, because you had a choice. You could have kind of just like stuck your feet in the ground and tried to do things one single way. Instead, you embraced the technology. What are you doing at the elementary level with AI and technology to kind of still inspire some sort of human connection, but not ignore the rapidly changing technology that we're dealing with?
So we have been grappling, and I say grappling because it's like a puzzle
Sure.
with AI. We're going to go into our 4th year now. And it started with a very simple question. We saw it coming, so we're not shy to use the technology. First of all, I have to say I'm very thankful I have a board that's very supportive, and that from the very beginning has asked, what are we going to do with it? Actually, we started with the teachers. Part of this was this national conversation. If you recall, when AI first started, it's cheating. And is it cheating or is it not cheating? And we really needed to understand the teacher mindset on this and help our teachers understand that it's just a tool. So we hear it and it's like, well, it's like saying the internet is cheating or the calculator is cheating. Like every new technology brings with it that initial response. And we really needed to work through with our teachers to ask the so what question. And what I mean by that is always like, so what if the kids use it? So I like to ask that same question. It's like little kids asking why, until you get to the very essence of what the issue is, right? I remember a conversation I was with our 6th grade teachers, and one of the teachers said, it's cheating. It's cheating because we have kids who don't know how to write well. And if we ask them to use it, what if the AI writes an essay for them? So I said, so what? So what if the AI writes it for them? What would you do? And she's like, well, it's cheating. I said, okay, but what would you do? And engaging in that conversation with the grade level, I said, do you think that a student who is not yet quite at grade level on writing, but who knows how to use the technology to get the technology to write the essay, do they have other skills that maybe you can use? And so then one of the other teachers said, I know what you're talking about, Norma. She said, I had that happen in my classroom. A student wrote an essay that I knew he hadn't written. And I asked if it was AI generated. He said no.
Yeah,
of course. I didn't do it.
Defense, yeah.
And she said, but it meant that I had to change and say, you know what, read it and present it. I said, yes. I said, the fact is that there are tools now that do what I'm going to call a basic entry-level thing. Maybe we're in a phase where write an essay is a little rudimentary now. What more do we have to do to have our students do with the content from the essay to show that they have mastery of the content?
And they understand how it was constructed.
Do they have to present it? Do they have to do a PowerPoint? Do they have to teach something about it? Do they now need to take that essay and build on it? And what this one teacher said is like, the AI essay introduced the student to so much more vocabulary that the student actually became more of an expert in the content because they were engaged with it. That was a very valuable conversation because we had to break through that idea of, is it cheating? And then we had a really frank conversation about, well, Do you use it? Yes. Is it cheating?
Right.
I mean, you're not writing your lesson plans the way I used to write my lesson plans.
Yes.
Is it cheating? Right.
Yeah.
But that was really we had to break that. That was like the plastic cover that wasn't letting us move. And then when we did that, we then were able to form an AI committee. The county was offering sessions for us to attend. And truthfully, our committee would go and they would come back saying, we can't keep going to that. At that time, most of the AI focus was on high schools, and we're elementary. So we kind of went off our own path and became researchers ourselves, became experimenters. But since then, we have a teacher who's pretty much devoted to this concept of AI development. And so we've worked very hard to create security systems, safety systems. We use a couple of different online tools to keep our kids as safe as possible, to like double down on our regular safety. So we've done that. We've had, we do work with a couple of providers who do what I'm going to call AI tutorials. So my challenge to my staff this last year is like, we need to use all of AI. So the first step that people go to is tutorial programs where you can, if you think of like Conmigo, Snorkel is another one, where a student can practice solving a problem and then the AI will give it tips. But I call that AI light. And so I challenge my team to say, no, what I want is the large language model that is really the creativity aspect of how can our kids use AI to help their families solve problems? How do they understand that the AI tool can actually, if you're interested in starting a business, here's what you can do. The way we adults use it, how can we do that with children? And so
make it relational.
Yes, we have really veered into that. We have been very careful of, again, when we instructed our staff, to even with our adults employees, to teach them that it's a tool, it's an it, not a thing. And we tease because people like to give it names, and we're like, no, you cannot personalize it. It is not your friend. It doesn't care about you. And so we've been very intentional with the adults because the psychology of how these systems work is very interesting.
It's very easy to personalize
you
it.
see it with the adults where it's like, oh, I'm calling it a name. I'm like, not allowed to do that. And so we do that with our students too, to teach them that it is a tool. So that one of the challenges that I know happens at the high schools, and I hear it from my young adult nieces and nephews, who talk about it like it's, I've had some of them say, oh, it's my therapist.
Yeah.
It's my friend. Yeah. And I think that's really concerning because you still need to engage with people and you need to understand what its limitations are, right?
It doesn't replace the human connection.
Does not replace the human. And so we are very intentional in that, to the point that my last conversation, we're now working with our board to really create what is the profile of a learner, thinking about future ready schools, because, okay, brace yourself for this. The year 2100 is already in my schools. My kindergartners will be 79 years old in 2100.
Yeah.
And 79 in 2100, I think, is going to be the new 40. And so if you think about that, we're already...
I'm still processing that right now.
2100 is in my classrooms.
Yeah.
So we have to prepare students for those skills, those things. And it's not going to be about content, but it's going to be about flexibility and all of these other things. But the one thing that I reinforce to everyone is there's one place, because the computers, they're faster than us. They're going to get the algorithm right. They're going to offer the essay in 2 seconds and all that. But there's one thing they cannot beat us at, and that is the ability to be human.
Yeah.
And so that question of how can we be more human, like we don't really talk about that.
Yeah.
But how can we be better humans?
Yeah.
Has to come into the foreplay of what we do as education.
Yeah.
How can we be kinder? How can we collaborate more? How do we increase communication? All of that stuff. I think we need to double down on that so that we can have really resilient children who are going to create a better future for all of us.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I think our partnership has been so fruitful over the last 10 plus years, right?
Yes.
Because our high school bigs program, which I know you're familiar with, for those listening, it's high school students who quite literally walk over to the elementary school that is nearby. And we have facilitated mentorship sessions. So someone on the Big Brothers Big Sisters staff is there, and you get a big brother or big sister. So if you're a third or fourth grader at an elementary school, you have a big brother or big sister and a high school student. So you see it play out, and we're getting kind of upstream of the mentorships, right? So that's that human connection piece that I think we love working with your district on, because we get to complement all the work you're doing with technology, so we don't lose that human connection, right? So I'd love to hear your observations of the programming in your district that you've seen, and how you've seen the impact play out for not only the littles or the elementary students, but also the high school students. How has that programming helped you in your district?
It helps in so many different ways. So the first thing I think about is the high school students. So it's a bonus that the high school students are from our community. They are our former students. And so for us to see them come back with their own voice, with their own sense of agency, empowered, is really rewarding and fulfilling. I love when my teachers talk about their high school students, because they're forever our kids, right?
Yeah.
And so even though they leave, they get to come back, and we see them doing good, which just reinforces this notion, especially in the communities some of the communities in which we serve. We need to look for spark points, points of light, where we see, there is the difference that I made as a teacher. There is the difference that I made. But I think it also, again, it's that idea of promoting humanity. We're interested in the relationship, not as tutoring this and that, but in the idea of, we're going to connect. We're going to give you that opportunity to have a laugh with someone who's not a family member. And that's really important. The idea of mentoring and children having adults that they can trust, or young adults in this case, is so important to give value to the little, right, to the child. Sometimes there's a connection between a student and the school, and sometimes there isn't. Many times, the parents do have to volunteer or say that they want their child in the program, and that's really because they see a gap, they see a need, and to be able to have another human being who is the most revered person ever for a little kid is a teenager. Gosh, they love teenagers.
That's
way
right.
more than anybody else. The teenagers are cool people. To have them spend time with the little it's like a strengthener of the heart, honestly, that we have had very successful relationships in which our littles become better students. All of a sudden, and there's a whole team, of course, supporting these kids, but we have students who become better students, who show up to school more, who learn to deal with whatever challenges. Like I said, there's a lot of challenges for little kids now, and who learn that it's okay to talk it out, who can anticipate and who look forward to that visit. It's really powerful to have that happen at our schools.
I mean, I have young kids at home, so that resonates deeply with me, because I can say something till I'm blue in the face, but the minute an older kid at school says it, I mean, they're doing it. They're going to give you the same words, the same instruction, but they're hearing it differently from a peer, right?
Yes.
So that's a powerful connection for us. Norma, we run about 52 programs of high school bigs across 3 counties here, and we want to do more. So what would you say to your peers who are superintendents or administrators of influence within districts about the power of bringing on a mentorship program like high school bigs within their districts? What would be your advice to them?
I would say that the first thing is that there's power in the relationship of a young child and an older student. And it's a multiplied power. It's exponential, because what it does for the older student, I don't think you can put that in words, to be quite candid, because when you look at the stats, especially about boys of color, we are in a crisis. And I don't know if people talk about it. There's a lot of effort to support girls. I'm a girl, and I totally get that. But when you look at the stats about the challenges that young boys are having, teenage boys, and especially boys of color, if we can do something where we give them the value and worth by them mentoring and taking care of others. Again, we're not just helping that student, we're helping that student's entire family. In terms of organizations or districts who want to participate, I always think of like what holds people back, right? What holds people back is, quite honestly, work. Like, do I want to take on a new project? And that's where I say, well, if you partner with the right organizations, and we're very proud to partner with Big Brothers Big Sisters, it's seamless, it's easy. There, you guys assign a person to support with our schools, that individual has great communication and collaboration with our, whether it's like we work through our ELOP program now, but even before then it was a site person. There's always been great relationship, great communication. We've never had an issue, not one issue. I think sometimes people may worry, like, oh, it's teenagers coming to our elementary campuses. Oh no, we can't have that. But
It's
whatever,
your future elementary
yes,
students.
yes, whatever system you guys use to provide coaching support, the training support, support period to the bigs, so that when they come and they support the littles, it's fantastic. Honestly, it really, really is, because the students come and there's an ease about it. So I would really encourage any school system to embrace it. You will find that it is a seamless process. It is not work in the sense of paperwork and this and that and challenges, administrative, none of that. It is really joy, because you get to see the good that comes from it. And I will add one other thing that I don't know that you're aware of, but there's an impact that extends beyond the program. So in our district, at the school where I have this program, we have had these mentoring relationships for a long time. Our teachers have seen the benefit of it, and to the point that our teachers now mentor students themselves. They call it the Dolphin Promise, and it's the same concept, but it was something that we saw in what you guys do, and our teachers decided that's working for that kid. Oh my God, the littles, they're showing up to school. They are having less behaviors. Let's do more of that. And so we've embraced that. So I think it's just, when you think about the concept of do good, it's a do good multiplier.
No, I appreciate that. And we with the high school bigs team, who are amazing individuals running these programs, we talk a lot about like the match. So it's the big and the little, right? And that goes for all of our programming. There's a big and there's a little. The magic behind high school bigs, though, is that big gets the mentorship from not only us as we facilitate the program, but as you said, it also inspires kind of a ripple effect at the school. And we talk a lot with volunteers who have been with us for a long time and had multiple littles over the course of decades. They say they end up getting more out of it than the kid. The joy it brings just from showing up is contagious. So why wouldn't you keep doing that? So I appreciate the endorsement. I appreciate the support. I want to ask you, and this is a little global of a question, but when you think, we just talked about the year 2100, which is I'm still grappling with, if I'm being honest. But when you think about the future of education, what gives you hope?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, I think our students give me so much hope. So I started a Superintendent Student Advisory Council, and I hadn't done it before because I couldn't figure out some things. I was actually limiting my students' capacity. So I created a curriculum for it, and it really has been leadership development. I have 50 kids that I meet with regularly. And these 50 children this year, it's like we worked on a vexing issue. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, this is not the kind of meeting where you come and tell me your problems and you walk out the door thinking you fix it. No, I'm going to show you how you can use your voice to identify a vexing issue, create a plan, and address it. You may solve it or you may not, but you will be empowered through the process. Every single time I've met with these students, I come away so humbled, first of all, so honored that I'm in a profession in which I am literally interacting with our young people who are the future leaders, mm-hmm. right? Our kids today they're caring. So they identified the most important skill for the future as to be an effective communicator.
Not technology.
Not technology. Mm-hmm. They're like, you must be an effective communicator. I'm like, okay. And we've talked about that a lot. But they care a lot. They care about their environment, like the vexing issues things. 2 of my groups were focused on environmental issues. They see that as a concern for them. Mm-hmm. Other children had quality of life issues, that it's like, okay, these are the things. Yeah, I had one group that's like down with a certain instructional program that we use. I'm like, oh, there's my kids. Yeah. There's my kids. Yeah, you don't want to do that work. But for the most part, they're optimistic, they're joyful, they're great people. And I think that if we can continue to infuse in these young people this idea of do good, mm-hmm. be good, we're all going to be okay. Technology is going to come and go. Everything. The tools are going to change. The pace is going to continue to come. We need to continue to give them the tools so they can calm their minds, calm their bodies, to feel like they're in control. Mm-hmm. I think is going to be a really key thing mm-hmm. for the future. But outside of that, if we can foster good humans, we're going to be great. We're going to be okay. They are super collaborative. I have a very diverse district. They're not shy about going up to someone and who looks different from them mm-hmm. and talking with them. Mm-hmm. In the group, I would see some of them ask each other, like, what's your background? Like, curious? Mm-hmm. And then when they heard the different ethnic levels or ethnic backgrounds, they're like, oh, cool. And they just move on. Yeah. It's not a thing that they perseverate on or anything. I actually think adults have a lot to learn from kids, just their way of addressing situations. I will say they're quick. Like, some of the activities that I had them do, I've only seen adults do, like, think about when you go to professional development, some of the strategies that you use, I've only seen adults do. And they did it. One of the funniest situations, we're talking about leadership styles. And one of the girls, she's like, I like to be in charge. And everybody at the table is like, yes, she does. we talked about what's your leadership style. She's like, I really need to work on sharing.
But that's self-awareness.
So self-aware. They're just so good. So I am actually, I know there's a lot of doom and gloom out there about mm-hmm. the future. Mm-hmm. I'm super optimistic about the future. Yeah. And I think it's because I work with little kids who are still in that optimistic phase. And I think we as educators, we need to pump that positivity into them all the time.
Yeah. Well, Norma, thank you for sharing your wisdom, for being such a strong partner for mm-hmm. us. We believe the future is built on mentorship, and you have been such an incredible partner along the way. I look forward to many more years of partnership with you, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
For you and your
pleasure.
Students.
Thank you so much
for being here.
Yeah, I'm happy we're partnering. Thank you.
Thank you.